Yeah.
I don't know. I just really think it would make the man's day. He did serve us all those years, and we all liked it mostly. So I just thought, if you ask the man, do you want to read from John for however long you want to today? No matter if I or anyone else doesn't want to read it. It just seems, Matt, Dave would wants to just humor himself, and especially during this virus, because he really seemed to think the answer to everything was in John or something. Any thoughts there? Anyone, what he meant? Well, I hope I've explained that certainly, I think a better use of my time, the last 2 hours, instead of me going blah, 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 would have been reading John's Gospel aloud. But I have to do other things. Nobody's going to pay me to read John's Gospel aloud.
Well, in one of the many comments that came out was he said, if I offered you and Dave each $100, you probably still wouldn't do it. And I'm like, I'm sure we would. I can't imagine Dave and I looking at $100. Hey, 2.5 hours to read John's Gospel. I mean, I can't imagine either one of us would say, I mean, no.
Yeah, it's
and then he later on it was up to 1,000, and I'm going, I don't think David Johnson has that kind of money to just throw around, but all right. I mean, it's like I said, it was a long thing, and people were getting involved, and I was just trying to cut to the heart of it. If this is basically what he was saying, as I interpret it, was, how about instead of doing what you normally do, why don't you guys just read John's Gospel? And that's the idea. I'll send it up, and we'll see what happens.
For me, that's covered in the Quran. You don't want to sell God's signs for a mean price. It's like that's a bad inference. Saying Dave Sim read John's Gospel aloud because I gave him $100, or because I gave him $1,000. It's like if we're trying to find a halfway point in this, it would be the next time that I'm reading John's Gospel aloud, I can definitely put the video camera on myself and put in one of the memory sticks that I do the weekly update on, and read John's Gospel aloud. As long as people understand that's not what I'm talking about doing. Like, I want you to download me reading John's Gospel and listen to me, or play it and pause it, or whatever else, or play electronic tricks with it, or whatever. That's the concern that I would have, is that people understand what I'm talking about. This is why I don't think that this is David Johnson. David Johnson is, as far as I know, a very devout Christian and a very ascetic Christian. He wouldn't get to the point of trying to use money to get me to read John's Gospel. He would, as any good Christian would, if he's got that kind of disposable income, he would give it to the poor. I mean, that's the, when Mary took the pound of nard and anointed Jesus' feet, and it was Judas Iscariot who said, why wasn't this taken and sold and the money given to the poor? And I think he was on the right side of the argument. Jesus says, she's doing this against my burial. The poor you always have with you, me you're not always having with you. And I think he reconsidered that, which is why he then, in the next chapter, washes the feet of all of the disciples, was going, I got fished in on that one. Because of my love for Mary, which I think was more than just Jesus loves everybody. I think Mary was somebody that, if he wasn't Jesus, if he didn't have his responsibilities, he would have liked to have had as a wife. And consequently engaged with Mary in a way that he shouldn't have, because Mary was under the influence of YHWH. But that gets into Dave Sims' individualized interpretation. Does it address why the virus is happening, or did he mean God is punishing us, or what? I don't think God ever really punishes us. There are consequences of our action that rebound on us, but that's our choice. If you do things that you shouldn't do and you know that you shouldn't do them, there will be negative consequences. If you want to call that God punishing you, you can call that God punishing you, but I don't think that's the case. I think it's whatever is happening with COVID-19 is, okay, you made it this far, in the same sense that you made it to 9/11. You made it to 9/11, so this is going to happen because you need, the same thing as the stock market, you need a correction. We need a course correction here, and this is the easiest way to do a worldwide course correction. And it's like, okay, that was effective for a specific length of time. Now we're going to need COVID-19 because you need another correction. It feels like punishing, but it's usually God is doing what he needs to do to get you to the point that he needs to get you to, where you have a clearer understanding of reality and all of the things that he's done in your life individually. That has brought us all to the point where we're now ready for one of these giant course corrections. And that comes down to the fact that we're good, and God knows that we're good. YHWH thinks that we're evil, but we're not evil. We're actually good. I think he just meant reading it was to him a good idea, like he said he read it at City Hall or whatever. Well, I wasn't reading it at City Hall or whatever. Same thing happened when I went to Queen's Park in Toronto. The female security guard said, you can do this at the library, or you can do this at Tim Hortons. No, I am going to what is in my world perceived to be the governing authority. This is my petitioning to the governing authority in my own method, because I assume that the governing authority that leads its way up to God and his angels is resonant above any administrative jurisdictional entity. City Hall in Kitchener, Regional Council in Kitchener, Queen's Park in Toronto, Parliament Hill in Ottawa, which is why I recommend getting as close to wherever perceived jurisdiction is and reading John's Gospel aloud. Not aloud so that you're irritating people, loud enough so that you can hear yourself whispering it. You can read it, it's coming in your ears, it's in your eyes. You don't allow anybody to interrupt you. And presumably that goes upward from here to God and his angels, and it starts getting sorted out at a higher level in the same way that the mayor and council here in town, like I know the mayor by name, but they're perceived to be on an elevated level above me. Well, okay, the only level that I acknowledge in that sense is God. Everybody is subordinate to God. So that's what I'm doing here, is reading John's Gospel aloud every week outside of this environment that is supposed to be something that I don't think it is. It's strayed way off into secular humanism, which has nothing to do with reality, certainly nothing to do with capital R reality. Anyway, if Dave goes for it and he'd actually want to read all of John with or without you or whatever, and that would exceed your phone bill, I'd pay for the over normal time or whatever. Just thought it would be neat now that I've thought it all through. Oh well, I hope we all find what we're looking
I got one little tiny thing. So Sean Robinson emailed me while we were talking, not realizing we were talking, and said, "So, real talk time. Does anyone else think the coronavirus looks like a testicle?" And I responded, "You want me to ask Dave since we're real time in it?" And he responded, "Only if, it comes up naturally in conversation." Then David Birdsong chimed in with, "Hey Dave, a question from Sean Robinson."
There you go.
And then Ben Hobbs came back with, "Do we want you to ask Dave if the coronavirus looks like a testicle?" Yes, we do.
Okay.
So I've discharged my duty. We're ending on a sort of high note, so thank you very much for way too much time.
Okay, well, I would say on that one, if all of you guys who have testicles and all of you women who have seen testicles up close, if you picture those dimples becoming long, spiky things, that could be exactly the situation that we're going through. Guys, get your long, spiky things back to dimples, and we're off to the races.
That's not the worst advice.
There you go. I trumped your TMA. Everybody have a good night, and we will talk to you, God willing, next month.
And hopefully we won't have a long list of questions.
Well, we'll see. Take care.
Yep, you too. Bye.
Bye-bye.
And we're not going to auction off this one because